Hello everyone, this is the group project for Fire Protection Technology 103, Spring 2020. We did our case study on the Iroquois Theater fire, which is one of the deadliest single building fires in U.S. history. The group members for this project are Ryan Nija, Matthew Long, Stephen Ngala, Bill Frias, and Ryan Stresovich. The Iroquois Theater was a highly luxurious theater built and opened in Chicago November 23, 1903. This theater was widely regarded as the most elegant and beautiful theater in the United States, touted as an architectural perfection designed by Benjamin Marshall, who had made statements regarding his study of every theater disaster and even included the addition of 30 exit doors to allow the building to be emptied in 5 minutes. The theater was built with a capacity of 1,600 people, largely comprised of wood and fabric interior, and included 3 different audience levels with one main entrance on the first floor. Before opening, the building was overlooked by both George Williams, Chicago's building commissioner, and the city's fire inspector, Ed Laughlin, who declared the theater fireproof beyond all doubt. On December 30th, 1903, a devastating fire broke out, becoming known as the deadliest theater fire in U.S. history, killing over 600 people. On the day of the fire, the theater had reached full capacity, well beyond the legal limit of 1,600 people, with about 2,000 customers, mostly of women and children, enjoying their holiday break. During the theater performance, 27 of the 30 theater exit doors were locked or obstructed with metal accordion gates to keep those in upper levels from sneaking down to more expensive seats. Around 3:15 that afternoon, a spotlight operator first noticed a backstage fire when a spark from a calcium stage light ignited nearby drapery. The initial fire eventually began to ignite other wooden props and oily rags throughout the cluttered backstage. This led to enormous amounts of toxic smoke filling the theater. Out of view from the audience, the fire quickly spread backstage, engulfing the entire top and inside of the stage area in flames within seconds. As the performance continued on stage, attempts to extinguish the fire with primitive retardant did nothing, and the supposedly flame-retardant asbestos curtain was lowered but snagged about halfway down. As it became apparent the spread of the fire could not be contained, the audience began to panic, rushing towards the exit doors. As the fire spread, the scene became a death trap. Cast members attempted to exit a rear stage door that was locked and fortunately opened inwards. Eventually the door was opened, allowing oxygen to enter from behind, accelerating the fire, killing many of the people stuck on the balconies and causing the theater electricity to go out, creating further panic to erupt as everyone fled towards the exits. All staff on duty also fled the scene immediately after the fire accelerated, and unfortunately did not unlock any other emergency exits. On the first floor, many exits were obscured with curtains, and as the lights went out, the 4-foot exits and hallways became cluttered choke points where many people were crushed to death. Some customers in the upper levels were able to find fire escapes only to find they lacked the exterior fire ladders. Workmen across the alleys cantilevered planks to create makeshift bridges that saved numerous people. The gallery on the second floor had incomplete exits with no installed steps or escape ladders, and many had iron gates obstructing the exits. Within a few minutes, hundreds of bodies began to pile up inside the theater before firefighters arrived on scene. When firefighters did manage to enter the theater, the flames were extinguished within 20 minutes. As the construction of the Iroquois Theater was behind schedule for its anticipated opening in November of 1903, the owners decided to pay off all the inspectors, cutting all corners to complete the building. It lacked all basic fireproofing, including no smoke or heat vents, no alarms or alarm boxes, no fire sprinklers, no fire extinguishers, no emergency lighting, no water connections. It also incorporated emergency exit doors that opened inward. The fire escapes for the second and third stories were also incomplete and not installed according to plan. The The skylights above the stage were fastened closed and covered by dark curtains, causing smoke and heat to exit towards the few exits being used by people trying to escape. The supposedly flame-retardant asbestos curtain was made of weak, flammable paper materials and failed to lower properly as needed to create a barrier against the fire. Nearly all of the building codes present in Chicago at the time were being violated. There were complete areas in the theater without exits, or those that used the same entrances as exits, while the Chicago fire regulation required separate exits and stairways for each balcony. All levels were connected by just one main staircase that led from the foyer to the balcony that connected with the stairs of the gallery level, resulting in a surge of people to one single area. Despite the cause of the fire, with the proper detection and suppression measures in place, the large number of casualties could have been prevented. The high death toll of this tragedy was a result of a combination of faults, including the design, construction, and operation of the theater, particularly the confusing and unfinished layout of the building. Here is a photo of the front entrance of the theater, comprised of marble and stone. This is a drawing of the foyer where all levels met in one area, leading to the single entrance. Here's a photo from on stage looking out over the floor orchestra seats, with the balcony seating in the middle, second story, and the gallery seating above on the third floor. On the third floor, there was bridge construction across the alleyway to the gallery by the use of planks to provide an emergency exit from a window. Here is a photo of the iron gates used to keep people from sneaking into more expensive seats, but also trapping evacuees attempting to flee from the fire. The skylights on the roof of the theater that were nailed down during the fire, which prevented heat and smoke from ventilating upwards, but rather towards the same exits as the evacuees. And here is a drawing of the front lobby entrance, where firefighters had to manage through piles of people suffocating and being crushed in the crowded foyer. Following the Iroquois Theater fire tragedy, there were many significant impacts in regards to building codes and regulations. This fire was a catalyst for systematic change aimed at preventing another fire of similar magnitude. It forced Chicago officials to change how they regulated public spaces, even shutting down all theaters until they could be inspected and repaired to newly adopted standards. This included new standards for aisles and exits, use of fireproofing solution for onstage scenery, connected fire alarms, limits on occupancy, and elimination of standing tickets, changes to fire sprinkler requirements, and new rules for rooftop flues such as those that were nailed shut during the fire. Other significant impacts included new standards for lighting of exits, aisles, and corridors, such as having red lights remain lit over all exits during theater performances. This also inspired the development of the first generation of design for panic bars, commonly found on emergency exits today, which prevent people from sneaking in but allow for easy opening under duress. While theaters may never be absolutely fireproof, the theaters of today reflect the cumulative and painful lessons society has learned from tragedies like the Iroquois Theater fire. Here is our reference page, and that concludes our group project on the Iroquois Theater fire. Thank you.